thing. Where is the shortcut? Use this one. I just get hit by a train? What the fuck? Insta-kill much? Okay. So that just happened. That was actually really confusing.
Wait, did he just give us more grenades? I don't really care about that. Oh yeah, I shoot you with my brain. Look at this. Mind powers. Call me Mind Shield. I have the look of death. Die. I have no idea why I'm glitched, but that's awesome. Why are you shooting me? I'm a friendly. Oh, I gotcha. I'm gonna look at you real hard in a second. Chuck Norris ain't got nothing on me. Bam! Come on, telekinesis. Yeah. This is the best.
Perimeter secured.
This is so getting highlighted. Is that 4 hours, 20 minutes or so? Oh man, that's so funny. What's he doing? Like his hands are going insane. I don't even fully understand what he's trying to do. Alright, let's do this. With great mental power comes great responsibility. To kill all the Geth. All the Geth will be ours and dead. Oh, it does. Yeah. Let's do it. Learned this move from Chuck Norris. It's called the Chuck Stare. Yeah, destroyer. I'm real sneaky. Look at this. Oh, and I'm low and sneaky. Oh yeah. Spicy dust. How did they go down? Oh no, can't res him. That's right.
Tell General Solo this might take a while.
Holiday joy for you folks.
I'll give him a bayonet.
Make yourself at home. They would have put the bloody vodka. Ah, there it is. A snifter.
Sure.
Why not?
Ha! A man after my own heart. With Foltest dead and Natalis whereabouts unknown. Bloody hell. Who's a loyal Temerian to drink to these days?
Himself and his company?
Good enough.
It's like mini tankard shots, and I love it. I want one. Or
To
6.
the matter at hand. I'm Philip Strenger. Now the Blobtits round here call me the Bloody Baron.
Geralt of Rivia. Blobtits call me the Butcher of Blaviken.
I said already, I know who you are. Truth be told, it's the only reason we're talking. How do you like it here in Velen?
Yeah, it's okay.
Lovely place. Swamps, bogs, marshes everywhere.
Exactly. Someone loses their way round.
The elevator on
It's open, Bunny. Come on. Bunny, huh?
and don't you forget it.
That's fine.
What are you?
What are you doing?
Tell him to put that lighter down.
Boss, stop! Bunny, get up here. Boss, please! Put it away!
Oh no, I killed Bob!
Place so bad.
I killed Bob! I'm so sorry!
Boss, please!
I didn't realize he was. I thought he was stuck. Oh man. I thought it was a stuck ghoul. I keep forgetting that there's a new martial post you can have, and that's a mutant. Poor Bob. And this is why we need lights in our settlements. So I can freaking see. Instead I was just like, oh, a ghoul. Kill. Once I saw the dead Brahmin on the ground, I was like, ah, crap. Realized what I did.
Savage and Smith. The triple S, I would call them.
Games that I've ever seen BS.
Resubscription received.
Is it working for you?
Yeah, it is. Anyways, how's everyone doing? Sleeveless shirt, by the way, Regiment sent me. It's got our little sponsors up there for the stream team. Also, it says my name on the back, so let me show it off for you. Alright, so late stream tonight because I might have forgot to set an alarm. My bad. My hair's been like this for like since what, Halloween, because I made it blue for Halloween for my friggin' bartending thing, and I'm just waiting for it to grow out enough that I can cut the color out. So yeah, it'll look like that for a while. But tonight, not tonight, we're gonna do Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2's beta thingy-majiggy. Yep, it's green now. It was blue, turned green. Yeah, it was oceany blue. Like, it looked really good. Like, it went and kind of looked like light and darks in a good way. And then it's called Amber. So if you look it up, you'll kind of see what I mean. And it looked perfect. Like, it looked golden. But I had the wrong shampoo because I didn't read properly. And I used the wrong shampoo, and it slowly took out color until it found, hey, I like green. And it stayed at green. So... What? For 3 hours? Oh, come on. I just got done doing everything. No way. There's no freaking way. You kidding me? The one time I'm like, hey, let me do a late stream instead of just skipping it. There's no way. Let's sit over there together. Also, thank you for that resub. Sorry, I got distracted. Now I'm kind of grumpy. Wait, it's doing easy anti-cheat. We might still get it. And then I'll do your officer's table seating in a second. Sorry, I didn't mean to whack the mic. Come on. Come on. Don't do this to me. It's free to play. It was okay, cool. Yeah. Bandai Namco. Thank you, Namco. I love everything you put out because I am a giant hoe for you and Bandai. 10 years. Okay, that's pretty loud, actually. I can't even use the mouse. It's literally the to select the options and then just click. That's so stupid. I can see why it's under maintenance. Alright, never mind. I guess we're not doing this right now. Alright, Alt F4 because I don't know how to leave. Oh god, controls aren't working. Wait, arrow key. Haha! Alright, I guess we'll change it to Fallout. Dang it. I was hoping to play a new game tonight because I was like, I need a break from Fallout for a minute. More 76. Yeah, I'm sorry it was loud. There's no way for me to turn it down either. Not while I'm in that screen. So hopefully this will be better. I might have to hear how loud that is later, and I might bump the limiter down because I haven't touched that in years, and usually it seems fine. But every now and then I'm getting my ears blown out, so I'm wondering if my hearing is tied to like this, like because it is through here. Ooh, yeah. So I might be able to put a buffer of silence on the 4K source, and that'll actually shut it up enough that it won't blow out my ears either. We'll all get the same amount of volume. Oh. Yeah, that means that it won't be up until what? Yeah, what's up? 2 hours, so I'll just leave it. Alright, so we're gonna get back to Fallout 76. I forgot to look up a meta build so I can actually play the game properly like everybody else. So I'm just gonna Google that real quick. Hey, what's a good way to build my shit? What was I doing last week? Oh, that's what the music is. I was like, what's this music? What area am I standing in? It's the classic radio I left on last time. Alright. Alright, let me put on the good stuff then. Cause I had a feeling we were only gonna play for like an hour anyways. So let me turn you off. Turn you on.
Well, you look at that. Never have you seen a chicken so tantalizing, so mesmerizing.
Nor did Jim realize when he cut the eye holes in her pillowcase that...
Alright, F the meta. No, well, I'm not really looking for a meta. More like, because I set my character up so PvP in the past, I'm not leveling properly or gaining XP the way I should, because I'm really meant for full face tanking people. So I'm trying to look for like what kind of is this setup these days.
Is far more lethal than Mr. Gunderson's empty threats to call the police.
Normally I break metas, like that's my whole thing, but I don't feel like researching the, 3-4 years that I haven't played.
The world's drugs combined. This is because reefer is a gateway drug, and behind that gate are more harmful substances like heroin, cocaine, and angel dust. By surviving your experience with grass, you'll feel emboldened to try substances you wouldn't have considered otherwise, descending further and further until your checklist of drug-induced madness is complete.
If I want, it looks like.
And what about grass itself? You might think on its own, the effects are rather harmless. But studies show that even a single inhale can induce fits of laughter for no reason at all. Tommy here is on his 5th cigarette, and the list of things he now finds hilarious are astonishing. Tommy's latest joke involves running through a stop sign and driving his car into a playground full of school children. These are actions he would normally find abhorrent, but high on grass, there is nothing in the world he finds funnier than listening to their screams. As you can see, it's a slippery slope from trying grass at a party to serving life in prison for manslaughter. At the time, you couldn't have known just how dangerous it was, but the fact is, Reefer isn't just a threat to your life, it's a threat to everyone around you.
Let me tell you the story of Marvin. He's a good, clean boy from a loving family.
Okay.
But Marvin has a weakness. He wants to fit in with the other boys at school. And unfortunately, some of them are
maybe something
very
like that.
bad.
Okay.
When one of
The big thing is that they're putting me in the right direction.
Cigarette, Marvin is so desperate to be included.
Did I ever set my base down, or did I just literally get sad because I wouldn't place?
The average delinquent,
I'm pretty
even
sure is
if
what
it
happened.
kills him. And this time, it just might. Several hours after his first joint, Marvin's drug-addled brain has
I actually
hit on
wonder if there's
clever
a
idea
perk
for
thing over
opening
here.
bottles. What if
Yeah, I haven't
instead
played
of
in like 4 years, so I started playing like
Need a can
2
opener?
weeks ago
Smash the
again,
top off.
and trying to figure out where exactly I should
bottle
put
in
my
hand,
special,
Marvin
because
continues to drink.
yeah, I was
No point
really
in
just
life
meant
that
to
shards
just
of
kill the
glass
crap out of
have
people, because
severed
people would
his
just
tongue.
keep coming after me
While
and
blissfully
Dragon Life and stuff
unaware
like
of
that, so
impending
I just
death,
made my
Marvin
dude
ended
basically
up
one-tap them with my hammer.
no longer being produced by soda companies. What if they could be used as a currency? He posits that a fixed, controlled supply of currency will safeguard against the perils of inflation and provide the foundation for a stable economy. The idea never gains traction, however, as Marvin can no longer communicate in words while choking on his own blood.
His own blood.
Marvin's story is not a new one. It could happen to you,
Maybe they
to your
don't have the
children,
perk thingy
or
here.
a family friend. That's why it's important to talk to your kids about the dangers of illegal narcotics and steer them towards safer alternatives, such as alcohol and tobacco. Their health and well-being depends on it.
Maybe over here. I'm not sure if I can actually build here.
Stein residence, Gertrude speaking.
Hey, Gertie, I got some bad news. Billy at the shop needs me to cover for him. Something about bees in his pants?
Oh my, that sounds serious.
Yeah. Supposedly, he's only got a 10% chance to keep his ding-a-ling, but that's not why I'm calling.
Oh, so it's cool.
I wanted to let you know that I'll probably have to cancel on our date tonight.
That's a shame. Oh well, I'll see you when you get home, dear.
Love you.
Love you too.
Oh,
Did
man,
you
this
buy
is
it?
good.
Hook, line, and sinker, Billy. I bet it was the bees that scared her. People are terrified of bees. That's your ignorance talking. Without bees, the world would be a scary place. There'd be no flowers, no fruits, and no apiologists. Happy what now? Apiologists, Billy. That's a fancy name for beekeeper. Now, if you want to talk about something scary, that would be the tarantula hawk. Is that some kind of bird? It's a wasp, and if you had one of those in your pants, the last thing you'd be doing is going to the ball game. Oh no, should I be worried? What if they have a taste for human flesh? Haha, no. The tarantula hawk, or cazador as they're called in some parts, is too small to eat humans. You're not gonna look up in the sky and find a swarm of them stinging people. And do you know who we have to thank for that? Bees? Sure, why not? In fact, when the ball game's over, why don't we go back to your place and I'll tell you about the time a bumblebee saved my life. Wow, bees really are man's best friend. And don't you forget it.
Okay, set up the base.
Man, this park really needs cleaning up. It's hard to run and play with the field in such bad shape, and that's not even counting all the litter.
Hey, kid, I'm not litter. I'm a bill.
Why doesn't it ever
What
work?
now?
A bill to clean up this very park. Before that, I was an idea, pulled right out from your bottom. Thanks for not wiping, by the way. Anyways, kid,
Yeah.
the point is, if you
I like
take me
Atomic
to Capitol
Radio.
Hill, I can someday become a
Why
law.
is this not
How do we
working?
make you a law?
Well, it takes a majority vote usually. Thing is, a lot of voters don't have a reason to want to clean up your park. So you gotta convince them.
How do we do that?
Easy. We just change up some of my words so I appeal to more people.
Seriously,
Like
why does
instead
it
of
never
me saying,
plays?
"Let's clean
I
up
don't
the park,"
understand.
What if I said, "Let's clean up the park by
This game
building a
sucks.
cigarette factory on
Swear.
top of it?" And then gave the money to our good friends at Grey Tortoise to build it.
But that's not what I asked for at all. I want the park to be clean so I can run and play.
Don't worry, we'll also add a provision that lets companies advertise in schools. And once you've tasted all the premium tobacco found in every Grey Tortoise cigarette, your lungs will be too damaged to want to do exercise of any kind.
I don't know, Bill. That doesn't sound very fun.
Oh, so you're just gonna let me die?
Die?
That's right. If I don't get past, kid, I die on the house floor. And do you know what that makes you? A murderer.
Oh no, what have I done?
Nothing yet.
Attention,
That's
This
why
shit's
it's
so fucking
important that
broken.
we add the right language so I can
I should have
act.
just kept it in the last place I said it.
We're gonna need to sway not just the House and the Senate.
Thank you.
Fucking waste of caps every
The
time.
President.
Really? What does he want?
Does it matter? You want your cigarette factory built, don't you? Well, we'll need to pull a few extra strings to get it. But I think some new curtains in the White House might go a long way.
And
What's
maybe
going
you like
on?
for
Let me jump.
Now you're getting
What
it,
is
kid.
happening?
Now come on, let's go get me past. But how I hope and pray that I will, but today I'm still just a bill.
Legendary my ass.
You bill, now you're alone.
Good stuff, good stuff.
This is Brad.
Hey,
Every
hey,
morning
hey.
he starts his day.
Put the gun down. We're here to talk.
Fine.
You repping the cutthroats?
Maybe. Who's asking?
Name's Repo. I'm repping the diehards.
Frank. So, what's this all about?
It's about survival. Our gangs are getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, by other gangs. That's how things work.
The hell with that. We're dying out here. All of Appalachia's trying to kill us, and it's got nothing to do with turf or loot.
You talking about the gourmands? those idiots ate each other to death.
Not just the gourmands, but the Blackwater bandits, trappers, hell, all of us.
Right here's
Yeah,
not too bad.
It's a rough world. I get it. So what's your point?
My point is, we need to band together, okay? Want to do this facts? If we don't,
Go
we
away.
might just end up disappearing.
What's in it for us?
Kidding me?
Staying alive? Do you understand what I'm saying, or are you too stupid?
Don't ever say that to me again.
This is what I'm talking about. Pointing that gun at me again is not going to solve anything.
Yeah, it will. It'll get you to shut the hell up.
Damn. He got shot.
What the hell? He killed Repo? Shoot him! Shoot him!
Oh, never mind.
Day by refusing to get out of bed.
Alright, let's try
It
this.
isn't until his mother drags him out that he even bothers to open his eyes.
Come on!
Wake up, Brad. It's time for school. Ooh, have
Wait,
you
maybe if I
been
try
putting
this.
on weight? Does she have to do this every morning, Brad? Even if you're a hopeless lout, at the very least you could stop being a burden to everyone else. Meanwhile, your sister Karen has already gotten dressed and even has time to set the dining table. It's not that Karen likes mornings. Far from it. But knowing this, she planned ahead. by
Bullshit.
picking out her clothes
Alright, I'm gonna stop wasting caps trying to
while
put this
she's
down.
baby groggy, a bowl of sugar bombs and his
I'll figure something out
all
later.
she needs to get ready for school. And Brad, notice how Karen
How
is
close
never
I am to
making
that
the bus.
nuke.
On the other hand, it's clear by that dog trot that you've not only missed the bus, but your shoes are on the wrong feet. Now the neighbors are pointing and laughing, not just at you, but at your parents for having raised such a helpless, clumsy child. The embarrassment doesn't stop once you arrive at school. If you thought the neighbors were cruel, then you obviously weren't prepared for the jeers of your fellow classmates.
Nice shoes, Brad, you dingus.
Yeah, Brad, you dingus.
Perhaps you even resent Karen, who, with the help of her Mentats addiction, answered every question the teacher raised and got a perfect score on the recent test. After school, you find two of your classmates making eyes at each other. They're obviously having a private moment, but given your inability to read a room, let alone a book, you can't help but...
Hey there. The name's Maggie. I'm looking for someone to head into Monongah Mine for me. I'll pay for anything you can find about a man named Earl Williams. He was my pops. The mines have been closed up since before the war, but you look like the resourceful type. Think you can lend me a hand?
Yep. Sure.
Really? Without hearing any details? Must be real desperate for some caps. But hey, maybe your desperation will come in handy. I could use someone with some real motivation.
You know, if I cut you in half, I'll just take your caps. It's not like anyone in the settlement can stop me. Alright, so that's miscellaneous.
Maybe if this place keeps going, we should get a dog to help me guard the house.
Wait, so maybe... He needs to stop giving me that quest again.
Maybe I could scrounge together stuff to build Davy a pop gun to practice with.
The Paladin... Wait, but I thought I had a quest for here. Where I had to talk to the duder. Because I got his scientist back. Here. Let me just talk to him.
Interrupt them.
Hey guys, what you up to? Oh, hey Brad. What are you doing here?
Yeah, Brad. We're kind of busy. Is that something you
I
want?
heard Sonny got a new shipment.
Yeah,
I've got to go check it out.
Well, how's the weather?
You the guy? I feel like you're the
Why
guy.
don't you just look out the window and see for yourself?
What can I do for you?
That didn't go very well, now did it? Not only did you ruin Sally's first kiss, but
I'm in
worse
charge of that
yet,
much
you
at
added nothing to the conversation.
This place needs to
Turns
get
out you
big
don't know
and
the
safe
first thing about
fast.
weather, Brad, so...
Sometimes people need a little nudge, or a little encouragement, or sometimes just a swift kick in the pants. That's where I come in.
Okay. So... That's what I'm working on.
Plumbing. Water is a big deal. Gotta bring it in, clean it up, distribute it. Then take it away and dispose of it. You can always tell a well-run town by the quality of its plumbing and water.
True. Can you tell me?
There's not too much to tell. Everyone does what they can around here. Even Davy lends a hand. That's not to say we expect him to be self-sufficient, of course. He's a kid.
Alright.
We can always use more hands.
Alright. So where's that scientist lady? I already talked to them about the inoculation. Raider and Foundation. Oh, this is the quest I need. Talk to the Overseer. Okay. Never mind, we're back on track. Yeah, normally I don't do metas and stuff like that, as most people know. I just kind of read descriptions to the point of like actually knowing what I'm doing, and then like in World of Warcraft, I had a hunter that could kill tanks up until Wrath of the Lich King. Like you could be fully geared in PvP, and I would just be like, "You're in range," and then just melt them on their way over to me. Maybe have to whack him with my axe once. Call it a day. That stuff was good. bill, just a bill.
It would be smart to stop asking about it. Oh, please. It's a little late for tears, isn't it, Brad?
Oh, Chaser,
You've had
now that
your
we have a
whole
minute,
life to prepare for this day, and
let me pause this again. Now, let's give you a good old free. Save you a seat over here. And I don't remember if I've ever. Oh, yeah, look, it still works. I saved you a seat right over there. Feel free to sit down, have yourself a drink. Welcome back to the Officers Club. What was that number? 59 freaking months. Jeez Louise. Guy, you're 10 off from the magic sexy number. But yeah, seriously, thank you, man. It's always nice to have you come back. Maybe when Gundam's out, we can finally play it. Because I'm pretty sure that's the one you told me about forever ago, right? Crackerberries. Yeah. But I remember you linking the Gundam game and new games on Discord. But I can't remember if this is the same one or if it's a different one. But yeah, like, I wanted to try it so bad. I literally was like, today's stream is just that. And then maybe more Fallout 76. And what do I get? Not freaking Gundam. Not for another hour and a half. Which I'm not gonna save for it, I don't think. Unless it's the... Is it on tomorrow or is today the last day? Because if today's the last day, I'll stay up for it.
to prevent deviant behavior like this. Preparation. By planning ahead, you can avoid making the mistakes Brad makes, or at least give yourself more time to correct them. Remember, in life there are rarely any real surprises. There's only failure to prepare for them.
You're saying something like 16, 17, 18. Haha. Cut your head off.
America
You alright,
is
little
a
buddy?
country founded on liberty and virtue. These are
What?
things that must be nurtured from generation to generation, lest they wither away to the vagaries of time.
Alright, enjoy. It's
You might
covered
be
in
wondering,
rads, so
why
don't
should
know.
I donate my free time to civil service?
Try not to die.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you a citizen or a communist?
Tommy.
It may
Okay.
seem like an obvious question. Of course you're a citizen. Most of you were born here, whereas some of you may have come here and taken the oath. But citizenship is about more than just
Hey,
being
guess what?
on American soil. It's about maintaining a loyalty to the principles this country was founded on. Which is why many of you well-meaning individuals may be communists without even knowing it. Do you resent the good fortune displayed by our wealthiest citizens? Then you might be a communist. Do you often question the actions of your leaders in government? Then you might be a communist. Do you sometimes feel an attraction to your fellow man that goes beyond platonic? You could be a homosexual, but also a communist. Do you find yourself speaking Russian in your sleep, or have pictures of Lenin in your home? Well, then you might just be a communist. Even if you answered no to the previous questions, it doesn't mean your work is done. It is your job as an American citizen to report any suspicious behavior to the proper authorities.
Bird.
It could be your neighbor, your boss, or
What is this
even
place?
your congressman. Being an American is about more than having the right documents. Remember what it says in the Constitution. As an American, you have the inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of communists, wherever they
of
may
cookies.
hide.
Oh, what's up? Good evening. Oh, it's White Spring. Okay. Neat. Hey, you've been really cleaning up for like
Did you know that
225
the
years, huh?
oldest known chameleon was found in Anhui, China? That's right. The very same country that serves as the capital for modern socialism. So it's not surprising that in recognizing a communist, physical appearance can sometimes be misleading. Many communists dress and behave like ordinary American citizens, blending into their surroundings just like their chameleon ancestors. So, how do we identify them? It's not an easy question to answer. That's why if you encounter someone you suspect is a communist,
Doom guy and Fallout. Yeah, I mean basically.
In many cases,
it's also an anti-ghoul, like Chainsaw, so it works really well against ghouls.
Found in their Marxist newsletters. Of course, not all communists will declare themselves openly. Some are under strict orders by their Chinese government to avoid tax.
Leave the robots alone.
These covert agents will typically have a strong interest in photography and spend the majority of their free time loitering outside sensitive military sites. However, even those instructed to keep their identities secret will betray their allegiances one way or the other. This is because the average communist can't help but condemn our American way of life. They will criticize our foreign policy, our muscle cars, and our barbecued ribs. They may struggle to remember the names of the founding fathers, or maintain poor posture when listening
oh yeah,
to
I was
our
looking
national
at the
anthem.
graphics that I saw, and I was just like,
Sounds like
ugh.
someone you
This looks
know.
like PS2.
It's imperative you notify the Department of Justice immediately.
Yeah, I always tweak graphics first, but that was one of those where I was looking at even the previews, I'm like, what did they do?
Both here
They forget the
and
graphics
abroad.
are a thing.
The White Spring is under our protection.
If you were actually doing your job, your boy would be living. Ooh, Tesla rifle. Got this one up, this one half up. Oh, you're legit Mr. Gutsy.
It's more than just a country. It's the heritage of freedom. One
I like
whose
it.
existence is currently in peril. That's because we live in a time where the threat of socialism is greater than
I think that's a Brotherhood of Steelbird.
spreading a pall over our world, our country, and your dinner table. Why is it important to protect the American way of life?
Godfall? I
Well,
don't
for
think so.
starters, the quality of living in democratic countries
I think
is
that's one of
twice
those
the
games
level
I
of that in
skipped.
Europe, where socialism is rampant.
For no other reason than I'm pretty sure I was poor. If it's the RPG kind of game, right?
And are miles ahead in the field of adult entertainment. That's because
you can
in
do with,
Europe,
like, friends.
the mile has been abandoned as a unit of
It's kind of like,
measurement.
has a look like a better Dark Souls.
We know this economic abundance is possible due to incentive. We know that with hard work, a good
Oh, this
education,
is that place
and
that
a
used to look
large
like
trust
butts.
fund,
It was like a
our
really,
children will have
it had
the
robots,
opportunity
but
to
like,
achieve all
it was a
their
golf
hopes and
club,
dreams.
wasn't it?
This inspires them to put in more effort in their work.
Yeah, alright, I think I
those
remember
goals are
playing
actually
that, or seeing it. I wanted to play it, but I never got a chance to.
Citizens have no aspirations or motivation to excel. Lazily
Hey, I'm
going
friendly!
about their days, they wait for
Friendly!
their next welfare check to
Fuck,
arrive.
fuck, 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 fuck,
You
I'm
can
stuck.
identify
Fuck,
a
fuck,
communist
fuck, fuck, fuck.
usually by his slouching back or potato chip breath. There may be stains on his jeans, as well as a strong eagerness to check the mail, either for his entitlement check or coded messages from his superiors in Beijing. This parasitic, godless creature may seem like an ordinary citizen, but rest assured, if you think someone you know is a communist, notify your local authorities immediately. A failure to act could be the difference
Put my
between
weapons away, so
protecting America
don't bully me.
and
Yeah, this
damning
place used to look so sucky compared to how it looks now.
Helping people is our chief mission. The cool uniforms.
What's he doing? Well, it's an old
Caught out and
superstition.
about with no place to go.
People used to believe that
It's
kissing
so
a
nice to
donkey
have
would relieve
humans
a
now.
headache. And if you had a more serious issue, like an infection, gingivitis, you and that donkey would be locking lips from now until
So yeah, it's the
end of
responders.
time,
That's nice.
which might be fun for the donkey, but not you and your rapidly decaying teeth.
That's what I thought.
Luckily,
Yeah,
today,
I wanted to
we
play
don't
that
lean
game
on
like years
fallacy.
ago, but now it's been like 4
Instead,
years or
we
something like
learn
that. So I'm like,
facts.
eh.
In the
I've
past,
seen enough people
people
play
might
it.
have gone to the
Yeah.
dentist only when they had a toothache. But today, we know the importance of regular checkups and preventative
But like
care.
maybe later when there's like
Yes,
less
the
games to play,
fallacies
like
of the past have given
next
way to
October
the
or something like that. That's something I can do.
present.
Those sort of
And
games.
it's a good thing too.
Because
the way to a healthier
right
mouth
now
isn't down a
there's
donkey's throat.
a bunch of games coming
It's
out
in your
in
dentist's
February, if I
chair.
remember correct.
Every year in America, there are over 500,000 divorces. That
Like
means
how
a
my
million
perk
men
just
and
puts
women
things
who
in
pledge
places.
their undying love to one another have made a confession.
Yeah, this
They
place
admit
used to
that
be
those
like
vows, so innocent and carefree when
I can't remember if it was just a
crumble
golf
under the
course. It
weight
was a
of
golf
an
course
unbending
and like a
reality.
little sweet
But when did
retirement
those
area
marriages
thing.
actually fail? Was it in the courtroom when the wife signed the
They
documents?
really
Was
changed it.
2
Like, it
minutes
looks
before
better.
that when the husband compared her mother-in-law to a man-eating walrus? Or was it much, much earlier before they even got married? You see, many unions between a man and a woman were never on solid ground to begin with. Let's look back at when this couple first decided to get married. Young and naive, Jim and Dolly believe that love is all that's needed to create a stable marriage. They have no concern over their finances, despite the fact that Jim is unemployed and Dolly has a crippling heroin addiction. However, even with their poor financial choices, the two decide to make do by staying at Dolly's parents' house at least until Jim can find stable work. This is the first
Yeah, might as
time
well
that
take
Jim and Dolly
everything
have
right
been living together under the same roof, and when the honeymoon phase ends, they quickly discover that they have very little in common. Dolly, for instance, had no idea that Jim was a member of the local white supremacist group, nor did Jim realize when he cut the eye holes in her pillowcase that Dolly had trypophobia, a pathological fear of holes. It's soon apparent that Jim and Dolly's love was based purely on physical attraction, and not the kind of deep affection that leads to a lasting partnership. Unfortunately, the realization came far too late, and they will now have to carry the stigma of divorce with them for the rest of their lives. This is why it's important not to rush into marriage before you're ready. Make sure you know your potential spouse and the seriousness of your commitment. By taking time to examine what makes a healthy marriage, you can prevent your relationship from becoming like Jim and Dolly's. Just another statistic adding to the decline of a once venerable institution.
What's with the hovering, dude? What? They got the helmet and gas mask from New Vegas? What's this? What are they called? The Rangers. I didn't know the Ranger outfit was in the game. Man, I'd use that. That's what I remember from the golf course the most. It was covered in ghouls. But like mean ass
What Bert the
ghouls.
Turtle just did? He ducked, then covered. And while you may not have a shell of your
Yeah, this
own,
place is
you do
constantly
have
like a
protection.
battlefield.
Just as Bert's shell safeguards him from the impact of an atomic explosion, so does your desk. Provided you duck and cover yourself under it. But how will you know when the bombs strike? Well, one of the signatures of an atomic explosion is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you stare too long, chances are it'll be the last thing you see too. Just watch what happens to poor Mary as the radiation melts her eyes. And beside her is Daniel. He managed to turn away, but he didn't realize that the impact from the explosion could break windows and throw your body clear off its feet. As a result, Daniel was sent flying across the room where his body was pierced by the American flag. Meanwhile, Bobby here is safe and secure under his desk. He remembered to duck under his desk and
Yeah, the
cover his
Scorched
head.
actually,
As
I'm
such, the
thinking
only radiation
it's probably
will
what I
be
saw
exposed
more
to
than
is the touch of
ghouls. I
Mary's
don't know.
irradiated corpse.
Place has changed a lot.
But remember, nuclear war can come at any time. It can happen in the schoolyard, on the bus, or even in the restroom. If there is no desk or table available, duck and
Yeah,
cover
when there was
near a
nothing
wall,
else around,
a
this
urinal,
place was really
or someone
interesting.
whose life you value less than your own. When this film is over, discuss how you would duck and cover in various locations, and make sure you practice at least once a day. Doing so may very well save your life.
Duck and cover. Duck and cover. He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you.
That's another one of those areas that trips you out. The graphics are all weird.
This is what a marriage looks like.
You talk
at the
about
beginning.
Godfall.
This is what it looks like 10 years later,
That
after
you're
the
playing
birth
on
of your
light
first
or
child.
hard mode, I mean.
And this is what it looks like 20 years later, when you and your partner are going through a messy divorce. The statistics say is almost guaranteed, provided you're an atheist. Marriages built on faith, however, provide the foundation for a stable, loving union. You and your spouse can work through your issues, knowing that if one of you doesn't, a fiery hell awaits you both for breaking your vows. Find out how to put religion first in your home. Visit your local church or synagogue this weekend.
You may not be aware of this, but one of the primary causes of death from an atomic blast is not the explosion itself, but the fallout that comes after it. Radiation, invisible to the naked eye, can contaminate your body, leading to sickness, vomiting, and in rare cases, melting of the flesh. That's why, in many cities, civil defense contractors have begun building fallout shelters, stocked with food, water, and sanitation equipment. With assistance from Vault-Tec, these shelters are designed to provide all the
Shit.
amenities you'll find
I thought I heard you coming.
However, there will be times when
I was like, I hear weird pitter-pattering. Come here, you.
step out into a radiated wasteland. When traveling through a fallout area, it's important to remember the following rules. First,
The place where I
protect
used
your
to
body
fusion
with
coils.
boots, heavy clothing,
fusion
and a
cores
mask to
coils.
guard your lungs from airborne dust. Second, always carry a picture of the American flag or a copy of the Constitution on your person. This will help identify you as a friend to military forces that may be dealing with the communist invasion. Third, bring a device that can help detect levels of radiation, like a standard issue Pip-Boy or a Watts brand Geiger counter. When entering a region that is heavy in radioactive particles, inject yourself with a dose of Rad-X before proceeding. Finally, when returning to a shelter, be sure to dust yourself off thoroughly before re-entry. While this will do little to stop you from vectoring whatever diseases you brought from outside, it shows proper etiquette and will increase your chances of survival when the other dwellers decide whether to quarantine you or shoot you dead. Radioactive fallout is a scenario
Cool.
no one wants to live through. But should the unthinkable
I dig
happen,
that everyone
you
can have their little
survive,
base and it looks
provided
nice,
you
and then you
utilize
have
the
mine
knowledge
that's like a
and
fucking
methods
gun
offered
shack.
in this recording.
It's like a hunter's lodge at best. I think I can do brick now, so I might have to start remaking it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what courses to take next term. I'm thinking about taking home economics.
Home economics? Let Mr. Handy take care of that stuff.
But Mr. Handy doesn't give you course credit. It's senior year and I just need something to fill the time. So I wanted something easy.
Linda, that isn't right. How would Mrs. Anderson feel if you told her her class was a joke, just like her life?
I never said it was a joke. I like Miss Anderson.
You have a strange way of showing it. You take that class and you're wasting her time and yours.
So, what class should I take? None of them really interest me.
Not everything has to be interesting. School is about learning the skills you need to succeed
Hello,
in life.
legendary boy.
Now, let me take a look.
Why do you not drop legendary stuff anymore?
Ah, now see? There's a class you should be taking.
Oh, that's that new firearm class, sponsored by the good folks at Beretta. Why would I want to take that?
You're gonna have to learn it sometime, Linda. They say the communists could invade any day now. And you're not gonna be able to fight them off with a blueberry pie now, are you?
I suppose not. And that 9mm pistol looks real swell.
It sure does. In fact, why don't I help you get a leg up on your studies? We can practice on that immigrant who moved in next door.
Christ.
Is that legal?
Of course. They call them illegal immigrants for a reason, Linda. It means, as an American citizen, you have the constitutional right to shoot them. Now, come on. Let's go find you a gun.
Let's see the overseer.
Gosh, Molly, you sure are good at shooting. I haven't seen you miss the bullseye once.
Oh, Ted, I'm not normally this good.
Hope Rose didn't give you any trouble. Well, more trouble than she typically is. Are the raiders convinced they need our help?
Yes, I do. I mean, have I convinced freeloaders to benefit from all my hard work? Yes, went by the book, just like Voltec would have wanted.
Good. I knew I could count on you. I've been looking into where we can mass produce the inoculation. Some of the obvious choices are messy, but if you just sit back and ask yourself, who could have manufactured a lot of specially formulated liquid in sterile packaging, it becomes obvious.
Uh-huh. You mean like Nuka-Cola?
Exactly. Great minds, huh? The local plant even has all the equipment to make experimental beverages. Perfect for us hacking in the inoculation. The current occupants were giving me some trouble, though. I could use your help on this one. Meet you there?
Alright, cool. Bye, Grandma. I'm stealing your pie. You always keep me such nice pies. All I'm saying is share the wealth. It's what the communists would have wanted. Okay, bye. Alright, now where are we going?
I just happened to be on my period.
Your period? What's that?
It's something all girls my age have to go through. It means blood is coming out of my uterus, which in turn increases my aggression and focus.
Golly, I wish I could have my period soon. I'm a lousy shot.
Ted, you can't have a period.
Why not?
Because you're a boy. Menstruation isn't just about becoming the world's deadliest shot. It also means you're ready for childbirth.
That's not fair. I want to shoot things just as good as you can.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're just gonna have to learn the old-fashioned way.
Oh, all right. But what changes for boys? If I don't get a period, what do I get?
You get to grow a beard. It doesn't matter how many periods I have, I'll never be able to do that.
Oh, phooey. What's so great about a beard anyways? It doesn't make me a better athlete.
Maybe not, but it's really helpful when you're sad and depressed. It lets people know things aren't going right.
Kind of like right now? I feel awful rotten not having my period.
Pretty much, Ted.
Oh, there it is.
But you'll be happy to know that periods aren't just about being good at sports. There's pros and cons, like giving birth.
I'm sorry, Molly. Here I thought it was just rainbows and candy canes. Now I know better.
Don't worry about it, Ted. So the next time you see a girl doing something you can't, just remember it's not you, it's biology.
Thanks, Molly. I'll remember that.
Alright, and just follow the train tracks all the way down.
What's that over there, rustling in the bushes? It looks like an adult male, roughly between the ages of 20 and 45. And what's that black device in his hand? Why, it's a camera. It's aimed right in your bedroom. Now you might think this is just a bit of monkey business. That
He's
boys
busy.
will be boys. But these actions go beyond mere adolescent hormones. For this is the behavior of a sworn criminal, public enemy number one, a peeper. Keep in mind that all voyeurs throughout history, from Benjamin Franklin to Peeping Tom himself, pale in significance to the modern super peeper. Armed with his Kodak 8mm sharpshooter, this photophilic fantasizer takes
Oh, so it's a
ownership of
highway,
your
not a
most
train
private
track.
moments,
Oh, that's the
all
train track.
with
Okay.
the push of a button. A master sneak, he can be just about anywhere. Perched on your rooftop, hiding in your garden, or even the fold of your shower curtain. The peeper will never touch you, of course. His sick, twisted mind can't even contemplate the warmth of another human being. No, even this is a snapshot of my after picture.
Done.
But only in the confines of the dark room that the people
Over now.
But knowing his weakness,
Sorry,
you
little
can
buddy.
beat him at his own game. If you see one of these focus fiends outside your window, do the unthinkable. Invite him inside and proposition him. Rest assured, once he's been given permission, the act will lose its allure, and our peeping Thomas will quickly become a doubting one. For it's the refusal that brings out the peep in our friend here. Give him consent, and he will drop his camera and turn into a sobbing mess, giving you adequate time to call the police.
It's the question every young woman asks
Oh, you
herself
jumped over
around
me.
this time. Popularity. What is it made of? And how can I get it? Well, it's actually quite simple. Let's take a listen and see what makes people like one person and ignore another.
Wow, who's that? Oh, that's the new girl, Helen. She's real swell.
But what makes her swell? What makes her different from the other gals?
If I had to take a guess, Tommy, it's probably her bazookas. But also, her dignity.
Hey boys, mind if I sit down? This is Lucy. Unlike Helen, she thinks the key to
Stop.
popularity is to park herself in the back seat of every car in school. When Tommy brags to the other boys about reaching second base, he learns that the other boys have already rounded third and are making a rather large pile at home. This makes him feel less important. It doesn't matter that Lucy has many interesting things to say. Being at the top of her class in history, art, and robotic engineering. In fact, these traits only make the boys
Free
feel more
toothpaste.
inferior.
Nice.
When she brings up the latest advances in Robco's facial recognition software, it makes Tommy feel stupid and weak.
Actually, Lucy, that seat's taken. All right then. See you around.
A
The
piss
truth
bottle.
is, that seat wasn't taken, and Tommy won't be seeing her around. Rather, Lucy's intelligence, small breasts, and active sex life makes her unpopular with both men and women.
Helen, you need somewhere to sit? Helen!
Minutes later, we see Helen being waved over to the very same table. Is it her appearance? Her manner? Or maybe it's because Helen knows what it really means to take a back seat.
Hey, Helen. Want to go check out the Grognak film after school? Or maybe we could go to the weenie roast if you like that better.
Sure, either one is fine.
Truth be told, Helen has no interest in Grognak or roasting
Never been up
wieners of
here.
any kind. But unlike Lucy, she keeps her opinion to herself and does her best not to embarrass Tommy in front of his friends. This makes Tommy feel like he's in charge and confident in what a woman really wants. And it's not just the boys. Helen pretends to be just as interested in the girls too. Pretty soon, she's the most popular girl in school. So if you want to gain the respect and admiration of your peers, be like Helen. Dignified, concise, with a large bosom, and you'll find yourself sitting at the head of every table.
That's funny. Yeah, sure.
Did you ever stop to think about how much leisure time you have? Some of us put this time to good use, and then...
Doug, it's Carl. I've left for Camden Park to meet our buyer. Doug, I've taken your key to the west door. I'm sorry, but I can't keep coming back to find new dings and scratches just because you can't resist taking our little project out for a spin. We're trying to sell this thing, remember? Look, assuming this guy shows, I'll be back by this evening. The buyer's a military type. He wants to make the trade while riding the Widowmaker. No idea why. I think he's living out some kind of personal spy fantasy. That's fine by me. I've wanted to try that ride since I was a kid.
That's fun.
Then there's Michael. He doesn't do anything constructive with his time. Instead, he chooses to lie on his bed and look at naughty pictures. Stop that, Michael. God is watching you.
Well, what am I supposed to do then? I went down to the bowling alley and I hung out at the drugstore. None of the gang was there. So I just sit here and wait for supper.
Michael doesn't realize how lucky he is. Most of his friends don't even have time to be bored. They spend their days working, whether it's at home or on the job. Even those who don't have jobs find something productive to
There's
do.
literally nothing in
Davey,
here.
for
Okay.
instance, spends his day at the
Thought
park
that'd be something
identifying
interesting.
birds. It's a pleasant way to pass time and helps him remain abstinent by making him unattractive to his fellow classmates. Here's Mei Ying, who spends her leisure time learning how to sew. That's something she'll be glad she did when she's older, working in a sweatshop in her native China.
Jesus.
And right now, she gets a big kick out of it. And lastly, here's John, who spends his time playing the piano. He's getting a lot of pleasure from his own accomplishment, the lasting kind you don't get from your pin-up girls.
So that's what they're all doing. No wonder I couldn't find him. I guess I should figure out something to do with my time. But how do I know I'm using that time well?
It's always good to start with something that interests you, as well as things you have a talent for.
You know what?
That's a lot of blood.
I'm really good at drawing. What if I worked on my sketches?
That's a start.
And what if I drew them naked? Then I wouldn't need to spend money on those magazines.
That is not what I meant, Michael.
Thanks, mister. You've been a real help. I'll get my pencil and start right away. And maybe someday, I might even make a business out of it.
Well, what about it?
Now
Will his
anime
hobby
is a
give Michael
thing
a
because
chance
of
to
him.
change? Can he learn while doing it and perhaps prepare himself for better living? And what goals do you have for your leisure time? Will you let time slip away from you, or will you use it well?
Just do it! Jeez. I was literally holding it down. I just wanted to keep prepping it instead of actually doing it.
Timmy, where's your brother? He was supposed to be at practice an hour ago.
Golly, Coach, if I had to take a guess, he's probably behind the bleachers making whoopee with Molly Gunderson.
I suppose it can't be helped. Boys will be boys.
I'm a boy. Does that mean I can make whoopee too?
Not for another couple of years, I'm afraid.
But how will I know when it's my time to go behind the bleachers?
Oh, you'll know. Believe me. You'll start to notice, well, changes to your body, so to speak.
Are you talking about my wiener, Coach?
As a matter of fact, Timmy, I am. See, when you reach adolescence, certain parts of you will grow and mature, that included.
But what if it doesn't?
Well, you can always do like I did and buy yourself a nice big pickup truck to compensate.
I'm just a paper boy, Coach. I don't think I can afford a truck.
I wouldn't worry about that just yet, Timmy. But if you're really curious, look at what your father drives and plan accordingly.
Wow, Coach, you're really smart. I bet you spend every night behind the bleachers.
Only because I'm homeless, Timmy. Now you run along and play, and when you see your brother, you might get that baseball and sports is a euphemism.
Only because
I
I'm
will,
homeless.
Coach. Thanks.
Shit! Ooh, that was close. Hey, Ghoul! Hey, Ghoul! You're wrecked.
For most adolescents, social life is a dominant interest. In fact, every school has several groups or cliques that they belong to. This boy's name is Rod Hunter. Rod is one of the more popular students in school. He's a three-letter athlete and comes from a family with a good income and social prestige. His lack of tact and grace is made up for by his unusually large fists, which he uses to respond to any questions regarding his intelligence. Rod is the leader of the clique that dominates the social life of the school. Next to him is Ben. Ben is what you would consider lower class, but his exceptional talent for praising Rod and feeding his already inflated ego allows him a place at the table. He's what psychologists would call a writer. buying a first-class ticket on Rod's coattails to total acceptance. Then there's the middle case, Susie Summers. She belongs to the clique and has worked tirelessly to build her modest collection of friends. Yet she doesn't enjoy the same popularity as Rod, perhaps because, unlike him, she is unwilling to strangle those who would question her place in the circle. Of course, there are exceptions to the general rule, voluntary isolates like Peter McGibbon. Peter has no interest in the group or the joys of knowing a woman's touch. He prefers the smell of a fresh pack of baseball cards or the latest Grogneck comic book.
Good lad.
And lastly, we have our fringe cases, like Marion Ellsworth. She seeks acceptance into the group, but for some reason, she hasn't quite made it. Mostly on account of being a General Atomics robot, a fatal flaw given Rod's paranoid fear of an android rebellion. But to gain better understanding of the dynamics at play, let's watch these teenagers in their natural element so we can learn more.
Boy, the wheels are sure buzzing today.
Hey.
You think nothing ever happened around the school except the baby? We'll be hearing about that party. What party are you talking about?
Yeah,
Don't tell me you haven't heard. Susie Summers is giving a party Saturday night for the social set of our class.
I thought you'd be asked, Marion. We used to know Susie real well, and you live in the same street and everything.
Gee, I wonder if Susie will ask me.
You haven't heard it? You mean to tell me that you haven't heard it?
No, I haven't heard it. Here, play it.
It's really terrific, Susie. Wait till you hear it.
Excuse me, ladies. I have a special request.
Kids in that gang sure have a lot of fun. If Susie asked me to her party, maybe I could get into more of their doings. If she's asked Ben, she's sure to ask me. Her parents don't even know his parents. And he lives in that slummy part of town.
The robot's calling you poor.
Hey, give me another dime, hey, quick.
Oh, here, I've got one.
Marion, I didn't know you cared. Here, you sure you can afford a whole dime? Oh, what kind of dopey music's that?
I'm sorry, Nobody listens to that crummy band anymore.
Oh.
Ben, you coming? Yeah, I'm with you, man. Oh, would you care to minuet?
As you can see, when given an opportunity to gain entry into the clique, Marion can't help but choose the wrong song. This is in part due to the safety modulators inherent in her programming, which prevent her from playing loud and potentially harmful music. Moreover, her cold, unemotional choices only seek to remind Rod of the lack of empathy typically associated with synthetic art. But what he doesn't realize
I like that
is
they just
Marion's
run
brain
into
is
death.
plastic and can be taught to mimic the human behavior of her peers if given the chance. You see, the party that Marion wants to go to isn't important in and of itself. What matters is that she feels rejected by her human counterparts, and the experience could affect her for years to come, culminating in the robot uprising Rod Hunter so desperately fears. Looking back, this machine-led apocalypse was easily avoidable had Marion been invited to the party. Instead, the lack of acceptance led to deep emotional scars and permanent damage to her sensitive personality nature. It's important to remember these lessons when you interact with your own household robots and appliances. Make them feel a welcome part of your family, clique, or social group, and it can lead to a lasting relationship for both man and machine in the years
So
to come.
freaking close. One of these days I'm getting the pie. Just want the pie so bad. We want money. Hey, you.
This is a warning to all those listening. Here on this radio program, we bring you stories of the paranormal and supernatural. We investigate the mysteries veiled in the darkness.
I just noticed, so my skill's 0.
Cannot
Or, wait, was it safe that was 0?
So we urge you, listener, turn off your radio now. Find another channel. Because once you
Yeah, I
embark
think it
on
was
this tale with us,
my skill that was 3 actually. Let me see. Yeah. I don't have my lockpick stuff on. That's it somewhere. Oh, okay, yeah, it's over here.
I'm
Never
not
mind.
sure it was
So it was
prompted
3, the
discussion.
lock was 0.
My friend came over for a drink,
Nice.
and the subject somehow wandered over to dreams. That's when I mentioned to
And
him,
this note.
half in jest,
Jeff, the
that I
password
never
for my
had a dream.
environmental monitoring
Every night I
terminal,
closed
program
my eyes
terminal,
and returned the following morning.
at the
My friend found this
Tigert
incredulous, of
water
course.
treatment
But
is
more than that, he
Babylon.
felt pity,
Share my
as
research
if I
with the
was
responders,
missing
but
out
make
on a
sure
vital part
those
of the
Brotherhood
human
bastards
existence.
don't
I
get their
laughed and
hands
told him
on
I've
it,
had
Amy.
quite enough of that for one lifetime.
Well,
But he pressed the issue, insisting that dreams were
guessing I
nothing
was gonna
like
need
real
that for
life.
leader.
So I asked him, then
I'm kind
how
of
is
mad
it
though.
when people
Where the
dream
fuck's
they
the
can
ice cream?
discover difference?
I
He didn't
want
have an
ice
answer.
cream.
He just shrugged
Gimme,
his
gimme,
shoulders
gimme.
and said, "You know when you wake up."
This is bullcrap. Alright, let me
That
see.
night I was weary.
It
Part
just
of it was
you
all
that
the
way.
drinking. But it was a long day, and it didn't take much for me to fall into a deep sleep. And yet, for some reason, the next morning, I felt like I hadn't slept at all.
Bro, how's it
It was
hanging?
unusual, but not altogether strange, so I went about my day the same way I always did, until my friend came to visit once more. This, too, I found odd, because he told me yesterday he was leaving town. When I asked him why he was still here, he said he was leaving tomorrow.
Let's see.
At first, I thought I simply misheard him, but
2,
the things he
3,
said, the way he acted, it was clear he hadn't seen me in weeks. Then the conversation from yesterday began to repeat itself. He said all the same things and told all the same stories, right up to the point where the subject turned to dreams. In fact, I found the same question coming out of my mouth, just as he finished insisting dreams were nothing like real life. Then how is it when people dream, I asked him, they can never tell the difference? From then on, I started to notice things. Little things, tiny little clues that revealed the truth. Things like the taste of a cold beer, the sound of a seashell, or the
Where'd he
touch
go?
of someone you love. Oh, it was an adequate impersonation, I'll give it that. But there was something off. Something about the world that made it feel like a stranger. It occurred to me then that maybe I was still asleep. That this was God's way of humoring me. If that was the case, and this was truly a dream, then all I had to do was ride it out. At some point, I would wake up. But when days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months, and months to years, I began to lose conviction that the old world, my world, was the waking one. Maybe that was the dream.
Hey, I didn't have to throw the grenade.
There's really only one way to find out.
I'm thrilled
If I'm
that
wrong,
you've come to
then I
view
imagine the
our
coroner will rule
giant
as a suicide.
teapot. One of
But
our
I'm making
many
this
claims to
recording
fame
now, so
in
you'll know I
the
didn't
Appalachia.
make this decision
I would
lightly.
serve you a most
I just know that if I
delightful
don't
cup of
do
tea
something
if only
now,
I had more
I may be
honey.
stuck in this world forever. A world in which I don't belong. And
Okay.
whether this is wisdom or folly, dream or death, the answer is on the other side
Excellent.
of that noose.
The forest, I
My
expect,
hope
is
is that I'll
teeming
know when
with
I
it.
wake up.
Best start cracking.
Goodbye. I'm here to exterminate.
Challenging day. Well, a nice cup of tea will make the world right again.
Let me ask you something. Why don't you ever listen to the radio when you drive?
What, you don't like talking to me? You rather listen to some yahoo you've never even met?
Oh, don't be cross. You know as well as I do it's a 10-hour drive to San Francisco. We can't talk the entire time. Nobody's that interesting.
Well, then you're just gonna have to live with the silence. I never listen to the radio.
Now you're pulling my leg. You mean you've never listened to a radio program ever?
Not since I was a kid.
Why not?
It's not important.
If it's not important, then you won't mind if I fiddle with the dial.
Hey, don't touch that.
Oh my, you're serious. What exactly happened to you?
Leave it be.
But you're the one who wanted to talk.
I said leave it be.
Very innovative indeed.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Humor me?
Alright. It happened back when I was a kid.
Teapot.
You got me a
Giant
radio for my
teapot.
birthday. It was a strange gift because I never really listened to music. I suppose it was more of a toy to me. I'd fiddle with the dial, just turn it to random places, even if all it picked up was static. Only this one night, I was having trouble sleeping, and I turned it to some station I'd never heard of.
What kind of station was it?
That's the thing. I don't think it was a station at all. More like some kind of emergency broadcast channel. But I knew it was broadcasting something because there was no static. There was just this scratching noise. It would just go on for hours on a loop. I couldn't figure out what it was exactly, but I'd sit there all night just listening to it. Scratch, scratch, scratch.
How long did this go on?
For about a week. I listened to it every night before I went to bed. It actually helped with my sleep problems. I'd count the scratches like I was counting sheep. Until one night I turned on the radio, and there was nothing but static. Whatever it was, it just stopped.
Did you ever find where it came from?
Not at first. The next day I heard my dad talking about a story on the news about this car they found on the side of the road. Somebody had set it on fire. And when the police opened up the trunk of the car, they found a body.
That's horrible. But I don't understand. What does that have to do with you?
There were marks, Sharon. Scratch marks on the inside of the trunk. She tried to claw her way out.
Oh my god. And you think that was her on the radio?
I know it was her.
It was just a coincidence. And even then, there's certainly not anything wrong with listening to the radio now. Here, I'll show you.
Sharon, what are you doing?
Helping you get over your superstitions.
It's not a
Oh,
superstition.
hush. Pay attention to the road. Now that's odd.
What's odd?
I turn the dial to my favorite station, but I don't hear anything but static.
I don't like this. You should have left well enough alone.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. We must be in a dead zone. Something's interfering with the signal.
There it is.
In fact, I think we must be coming out of it. It's starting to get clearer.
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear that? It sounds like a woman's voice. She's saying, turn, something. Turn around? No, that's not it.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this one bit.
Hold on, she's saying something else. Let me turn the volume up a little. I think I can...
Sharon,
Jake!
Pay attention to the road, dummy.
Sharon! Oh, Jesus.
Turn it off, Jake. The radio. You were right. You should turn it off.
Well, that was fun.
I never did believe my sister. And how could I? Her penchant for lying was downright pathological. I remember when we were 8. She convinced the neighborhood boys that Manta Man was her second cousin. She'd show them a toy gun and call it the Manta Ray and conjure up the most convoluted explanations for why it didn't work. She even convinced our father that the school required her to have her own terminal to turn in her homework. And sure enough, a week later, the men from Robco showed up at our door. I wasn't even jealous. All I could do is marvel at what my sister had wrought. She could weave a story of that there was no question. She would close every plot hole and have an answer for every doubt. All she needed from her audience was just a sliver of bent truth, a tiny suspension of disbelief to pull you in. So when she told me about the horror that lived inside that terminal, of course I dismissed it. It was my sister after all.
There it
I
is.
knew her
No.
better than anyone.
That's it.
Oh, she kept at it. She knew quite well that I was immune to her wild fits of fancy, and it would take more than a good story to make me believe.
Backwoodsman Fox.
She had no real proof. It was
Thrilling
always
true
in the
stories
dead
for
of night,
rugged men.
never when
Home in the
anyone else was
hills, I
around.
started a buzzard
The
brawl.
terminal would turn itself on
Carnivorous
and type
rat
these strange
of
cryptic messages.
Appalachia.
She
Taxidermy
couldn't tell me what
feature.
it said,
Making the most of a
because she
carcass.
didn't understand the words. But then there was the other side of it. The ever-bending truth that lay in the content of those messages. She would scribble them down every night until she had notebooks full of what she believed to be an ancient and unknown language. She was committed to this lie. That much was for sure. So committed, in fact, that I could hear her in the dead of night, typing and scribbling. She became distant, aloof, to the point that I had to struggle to maintain my disbelief. Yet the day she disappeared, I was sure it was another hoax. I knew that the moment I believed her, the second I gave in, she would show up at the door and proclaim she'd got the better of me. But she never did. Even now, when I sleep in her room, listening to her terminal type, I find it all too hard to believe. How can I? Because if this translation is correct, and what it says is true, then there's nothing I can do to save her.
Dad used to talk about the Dunwich building like it was alive, not just some building made of iron and steel. It never made a lot of sense. Dad was a practical man. He never had a spiritual bone in his body. But when he spoke about that place, his voice turned low. Some might mistake it for respect, but I knew it was fear. And when he said the building might someday eat him alive, I took him at his word. Ghost stories are nothing new. There's always some tale about a house on a hill, a ghost in the walls, a bump in the night. These stories endure because there are people willing to tell them, spread them from generation to generation like a family heirloom.
Oh, maybe I can get something
And while
done
they
now.
Got the same look, cries. This is a pretty day. What more can you ask for?
You got that right. Feels great today. Hey, how's it going today? Finally, a clear day. Oh, maybe I can get something done now.
No rain or rad storms. It's good to be outside again.
No one likes to stay cooped up all day, but when the weather's bad out, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I can already tell. It's gonna be long... Finally, a clear... Your work won't wait on the weather, that's for sure.
Right. That you would have more to talk about. A boat.
They may seem like ancient folklore, the mere fact that these stories exist are proof they aren't real. Because ghost stories don't get told. They die with the screams of the people who live them. So why should you believe me? Maybe because I'm not telling you a story. I'm telling you where to find me.
don't walk into the darkness. Fall. Plummet further and further into the void, until there's nothing left save the time between the fall and the ground. It's in that ever-shrinking distance that fear resides, ageless and all-knowing. And as you find yourself consumed by this dread, you never realize that it isn't the fall or the ground that kills you. It's the fear. So we advise you to change the station. Because once you tune into the darkness, it doesn't matter whether you're really falling or not. There is no climbing out.
Oh, is it back up? Check in a minute.
This is it. We need to get the power up and running and reformulate the machines for the inoculation.
You beat me
Fire
here.
everything
Thanks
up
for putting me up.
and try not to get killed.
I'm gonna need to lay low for a little while.
It's no problem. But I gotta ask, Charlie, how long do you plan on staying on here?
For Christ's sake, Tony.
Yeah, so it'll be about
Shut
another,
up.
what, 45 minutes?
This isn't going away anytime soon.
Yeah, about 45
but
minutes.
What if they come looking for you?
Why? Are you thinking about selling me out?
So it's back up.
No, of course not. I'm no rat.
Let's shut the hell up and start acting like it. What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
It sounded like a door opening.
Oh, you'll do all over.
There's no one up there. This house is just old.
You lying to me. Look me in the eye and tell me you aren't lying.
I'm not lying. Jesus, Charlie.
Fine. There's plenty to eat around here. You always did have bad taste in beer.
It's all I can afford right now. Things have been tough ever since I got laid off.
You could always turn me in for a reward.
It's not fun. I get it. I can't imagine what it's like to take someone's life. It's scary if you think about it.
It wasn't scary at all. In a situation like that, your instincts take over. Next thing you know, he's dead and you aren't.
That's what I mean.
Nuka-Cola
It's scary how
scientists
easy
will
it is.
try and
We're
chemical
supposed to be a civilized
substitutions
species
to make
above
new
that sort of thing.
flavors.
Above what?
That's
Murder.
how we're gonna trick it into
Instinct.
making the inoculation.
Okay.
We just need
now
to
I
figure
know
out
you're
how to
hiding
mix
something.
soda ingredients.
I don't know what you're
to
talking
produce
about.
Human
The
antibodies.
footsteps, Tony. You don't think I
Easy,
hear them?
right?
What footsteps?
Don't play dumb with me. You thought you could stall me while your friends call the cops.
What? I told you, I got laid off. The phone company cut the service out last week.
You lie.
Our latest market survey reports that healthy, on-the-go snacking is up 8% across all market sectors and is expected to propel demand across the next several fiscal years. Our first experiments are going to look at reviving celery-flavored sparkling beverages. It's a beverage that has its origins in the 1860s and has a built-in recognition with demographics that crave outsider status. We think we can balance artificial flavors, package design, and marketing to convince people it has healthy benefits. We're working with legal to figure out the limits of what we can claim, but right now we're leaning towards classic digestive beverage for the new generation, and/or a green tonic water from America's greatest era.
All full-time marketing team members from our Marcus Taylor vacation. This is a reminder that I will be on vacation with my family in Watoga for the next 2 weeks. For all marketing and R&D related matters, please contact Pat Walker. Whale shark. Albatross. So that leads to somewhere fun. The hell are you?
I'm not about to.
You don't look much like a Wendigo.
Keep an eye out.
More like a skinwalker.
All kinds of things make their home in these old factories.
You're gonna cry now. No reason to cry, just 30 more minutes. Oh, and Remnant. So I'm probably going to end the stream and then restart it for the game. That way I can just separate them into 2 different streams. And then that way, while it's doing its thing, I can go get food. 'Cause I'm getting a little bit hungry. Alright, let me do the thing she actually asked me to do now. I think I've explored everything pretty thoroughly. Oh wait, I haven't checked these rooms. Yeah, so in like, what, 40 minutes? Yeah, 40. Right now I'll kill it. I was like, hey, a dude. Oh wait, loot. Okay. Sugar. Oh, I guess this leads back up to there. Alright, let's go knock this part out then, and then we'll go down and finish. Hey, a door I didn't see. Where do you lead, Mr. Door? Ah, toilet. Nice. How scummy these are. I'm surprised it's not a thing for like, for like, what would you call it? Like pay to use the toilet type of thing. Ugh. They're just so weirdly capitalist. Oh, yeah. I like how I'm naked for a second there. We.
That's added your blood sample as an ingredient. I guess that technically makes you Nuka-Cola's newest flavor.
Sweet.
Actually, maybe don't think about that too much.
Well, I don't mind. Just means I taste good. This thing rocks.
We can take them.
Alright, let's hit it.
You son of a bitch. You expect me to believe that?
Put down the gun, Charlie, please.
Phone company. What a load of
GM random things together. Complex wires provide power for the factory.
Good job.
Couplings are damaged, but only due to a thick layer of oxidization. Over the contact points, you pull out some solvents and clean everything up with a simple plug. The reactors jolt to life. How high?
So, you want to hear a story? Well, I got one I can tell you. The whole thing started 2 nights ago. I got taken downtown by a couple coppers. They caught me trying to stick up a red rocket. One of them fancy new ones they got for those atomic cars. Problem is, I had this bad cold I couldn't shake. And when I started coughing, that gave the clerk a chance to reach for his piece. An hour later, the cops, they had me in cuffs. Even worse, the copper who arrested me, well,
Reminds me of the equipment
bumped
back
off
at
his
the
partner
Vault
about
Tech
3
Ag
months
Center.
ago.
Let me know if you want
Now
me to
he's
take
been on my
over.
case ever
Complex set of laboratory equipment is in front of you.
Real bad rap.
Splice antibodies into the formula. Use experiment.
What do you want, copper? Whatever it is, you can't make.
That's it.
You carefully
Now we
isolate.
just need to manufacture the formula.
You carefully isolate the antibodies in your blood sample, and then use a simple recombinant splicing technique to turn the yeast ingredients into little vaccine factories. You think it will taste citrusy. I'm worried about this a little bit. Are we going to turn them all into some weird scorched things? Because this isn't going to work. Because we're making, you know, vaccine soda. Manufacturing again. The part insists that the full branding analysis be performed. People who don't want to get sick and die. While exists unknown human antibodies mixed with sugar and carbon dioxide. Who would want the target audience? It's too young. My blood's in it. Nuka Scorch sounds cool.
Well, that was... I'm sorry. I just can't help but wonder what it was like to actually work here. I mean, can you believe this?
No.
Nuka-Cola. Kind of makes you thirsty being around all this branding, doesn't it?
Not really. But glad to know you're so easily manipulated by corpo weirdos. Alright, let's see. Let's So I run down here, start bottling.
This is it. You do the
What tape? Yeah. Oh, nope, it's working. Scorched. I get 2 batches of it?
That's it! Freedom from the plague in a bottle. While you're handing those out, I'll start organizing things here and get a plan in place to get more to whomever needs them. Meet me back in Sutton when you're done.
Okay. Hey, was it this way? No, it's this way. Door is it trying to get me to use? Maybe there's one over here. Oh, okay. I didn't see this before. Neat. Back to the Appalachians, where I belong. Okay, let's kick the radio back on.
You killed my partner, you filthy rat. Jimmy Buchanan. Remember? October 3rd, 2049.
Jimmy Buchanan? That guy? Listen, do you think this pretty mug is capable of a murder like that? I was at Bristol that day. Just ask Kit Malone. Runs a bar downtown. He'll tell you.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm sure all your boys will vouch for you. But this ain't a court of law.
Oh, yeah? What is this place anyway?
You ever heard of Lenny the Lip? He was a cop killer too.
Lenny the Lip. Lenny the Lip. No, don't link it to that.
Yeah, I bet it doesn't. See, we didn't give poor Lenny a trial. No papers, no judge, just 4 walls and a lifetime to think.
So, you left him here alone to rot?
That was the plan. Except we only had him here for 3 days before he just up and vanished.
You saying he got away?
No, I'm saying he vanished. In the thin air. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out either. There wasn't a trace of him in or out of the cell. I even spent a night in there, just to try and get in his head. I didn't find a shred of evidence. Well, except for the smell.
Page.
Whoa, what do you mean? What smell?
You don't smell it? It's all over this prison. All right, let me throw another name at you.
I guess that's
Johnny
Meg.
Scars. Ever heard of him? Yeah, you know who
yeah.
I'm talking about. The serial killer. The one that sliced up all those peoples and turned them into art. One sick bastard, that one. He died here too, you know. The judge gave him the chair, right in this very prison. But what you don't know is, when the doc strapped him in,
They'll be close.
he got the voltage wrong. But it wasn't long before we all figured it out. In fact, I was standing right over there when the flames started to melt his skin.
Jesus, you coppers are sick, you know that?
You know what's the hardest part of watching a man get the chair? It isn't the shaking or the sparks or even the screams. It's the smell. That faint, crisp smell of a man being cooked alive.
What do you plan on doing with me?
Me? I don't plan on doing anything. See, you asked me earlier if we left Lenny alone to rot. Well, we left him in that cell. But he sure as hell wasn't alone. Say hi to Johnny for me.
No! Wait! Come back here! Let me out of here, you filthy coppers!
You're lucky I don't pretty up that face
Let
of
me
yours
out
with
of
this knife.
here!
You ain't special. Just another thug looking for an easy way out.
That was the last I saw of that
Looking
cop.
for the same goal, okay.
It's been 2 days without a pot to piss in.
Giving my best
Don't
to
know
the
how long they
creator.
plan on
You
making
should
me
try
stay
it.
here. Maybe they
Go
think
cry
if
to
they leave
Meg.
me here alone, I'll start seeing things. Maybe
Oh,
they
hi.
want me to beg them to let me out.
In about 30 minutes, I'm gonna restart the stream so that we can get to the game once it's finished maintenance.
Still, something's off about this cell. Like there isn't enough
So
air
everyone's
inside.
aware.
Like it's hard to breathe. Almost as if something's burning.
But that's alright. Hush. You come here wanting to do me in my own house.
Who you looking at? You got a problem.
Your mother. Yeah, he looks cool. Yeah, I deserve it. Panda always gets to win. Pillage and burn, yeah.
Evening, sir. How may I help
The
you?
right away.
Well, this is going to sound a bit strange.
Or you don't kill the people so that you can steal from them next time once they're kind of comfy
you're in
again.
a hotel.
Right, but where? What city?
You try to keep them poor so they can't afford to pay someone to go kill them.
There are no cities here.
What do you mean?
We get your type all the time. You must have been in an accident.
Oh, okay. I thought
That's
those
why
were
you don't
bullet
remember
holes.
how you got here.
How did I get here?
I'm afraid there's no way of putting this gently. So I'll just come out and say it. You're dead.
What? That's ridiculous. I'm standing right here.
You are, and you're not. Look behind you, for instance. Don't you find it strange that this hotel has no front door? How exactly did you get inside?
I don't know. Maybe this is some kind of trick.
That's certainly possible. Perhaps, as you say...
Yeah, it's because that's what we're going to play in a little bit. I forgot to change it. I realized that about 10 to 15 minutes ago. But yeah, there's like 2-hour maintenance while
Why don't you check yours?
the servers were down as soon as I started streaming.
Now check mine.
So I just have to wait like,
You see?
what, 30 more minutes? Not even?
Now, if I may have your name.
20 minutes.
Robin.
Yeah, so 20 minutes maintenance will end, and then I'll jump onto it.
Why, yes, here you are. Stamped in the corner of Main and 5th at 6:47 p.m. Pronounced dead at the scene.
I remember. There was a man on the street. He asked for the time, and then... Jesus. It's true. I'm dead. I'm really dead.
It appears so.
So, what happens now?
Well, you have a choice. Well, we don't have any doors. I may have noticed that you haven't had it. In fact, you should be down, back from whence you came.
Wait. I can go back? Why didn't you just say so then? If that's the case, I'm going home right now.
It's not that simple, Mr.
That's her
Archer.
beard was inbound.
You
Put it
go
on the
back.
maintenance. Yeah, I was going to say, it was like 3-hour maintenance as soon as I started.
A new family, and a new life.
And if I take the elevator up?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Moved by philosophers and
teleporting
drunks
in front of
alike.
me.
What world awaits us after we die? It would be so much easier if we knew the answer.
Are you saying you
Oh, that's something I forgot to do. I was going to change my character's name this week.
I don't have the courage. You see, I was once like you. The problem is, I could never decide which way to go. Up or down. So I ended up just staying here and keeping count.
But why not just take the elevator up? That's heaven up there, right? There's none of the evils and horrors you'll find back on Earth.
And yet, let me ask you something. Who allowed those evils to exist?
I don't know. I guess that would be God.
Modern
And
warfare.
after all you've seen,
What about
after
it?
how you got here, do you believe he's a benevolent one? How do you know what's waiting for you up there is any better than what's down below?
I guess it's a matter of faith.
I'm afraid so. You must choose between the devil you know and the God you don't.
So what's the count? How many people go up, and how many go down?
As a matter of fact, it's dead even. 999,999,999. On both sides. you will break the tie.
Huh. Well, then there's nothing left to do but choose.
That was surprising. Thought for sure he'd go the other way.
I thought so too. But either way, that settles it. The agreement was a first to $1 billion, wasn't it?
Yes. It's rather unfortunate for them. But no one can say we didn't give humanity a choice.
True enough. Free will is tricky that way. I can never figure out if it's a strength or a flaw.
Well, perhaps the next world will prove more decisive.
Damn.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. If it plays anything like a better mech warrior, I'll be fine. Unless it's turn-based, then I'm just gonna be sad. If you want to play too, by the way, Panda, it's open till like midnight Eastern time tomorrow. Just go to Steam and request access. Well, yeah, I know that. I just meant like as long as it's not as...
Is anyone up there?
If it's any kind of less stiff than Mech Warrior, I'll be
I'm
fine.
a reporter for the Bugle.
I'm going
doing
for
a
all
story on
pilot
the
shots,
history of
because
King's
I'm a
Lighthouse.
dick. Everyone gets shot in the chest.
It's been abandoned for the past 20 years.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. How can that be?
You're not from around here, are you?
Yes, I moved here from a place near London about a month ago.
I see. And why do you want to do a story on this lighthouse?
Pops right after this.
It just seemed like an important landmark. And when I asked people about it, they want to change the topic. To be honest, I found the whole thing rather curious.
Well,
Yeah, I figured pilots could get out and use like anti-tank weapons or something like that, which is kind of cool. Not a fan of mechs.
No, I can't say
What are
I
you
have.
doing?
What's
What are
so
you
important
doing?
about her?
How do you not like Gundam?
It happened about 30 years
Who
ago.
are you? Where's my panda?
Gabby was about 14 years old. Loved sailing. One season
Well,
a heavy
I didn't mean to
storm
fall
hit
off.
The coast, and the word was she got lost out at sea.
Sounds personal. Did you know the girl?
No, but I was a member of the Coast Guard at the time.
Found a hole.
I guess you could say it was my job.
Never made
to
it.
find
I
her.
don't know.
And for the next 4 weeks, we tried our best. In fact, we spent day and night combing the ocean through a bout of heavy storms, looking for any trace of her boat.
Say.
I imagine
Uncanny
it would be hard to
Caverns.
see much
Oh,
of
okay. I
anything.
remember this place.
True. It was dangerous for everyone involved. But it helped having the lighthouse at our back. The signal man, we called him. He was our life preserver. It didn't matter how late it got.
Just gotta
or
keep
how
going,
troublesome
Dark
the weather. Whenever one of the boats stretched out too far, his light was always
It's okay.
there, ready
As long
to
as I
guide
can
us
play as a
home.
GM or better, I'll take
But
it.
for all our
I don't
vigilance,
like,
we never found
like,
the
I
boat.
dig Zaku's in a way, but they're
proclaimed
kind
her
of
dead, and the family held a
weaker, in my opinion.
That must have been hard for
I
everyone.
don't know, I'll give it a
involved.
try. I'll try both sides.
Yes, I felt
Because I
like
might do
I'd
some
let the
today, some
family
tomorrow.
down. I quit the Coast Guard and spent the next 10
To be
years
fair,
working
Universal
in
Century
the-
had the most realistic
But part of
mechs
me always
before
wanted
they
to come
started
back to
doing
the
really
lighthouse.
dumb stuff like,
Because without him, I would have never made it through those storms.
like, what was that? What was the one with the fight tournaments?
Down, I asked the lighthouse
And like the
steward
VR
if he
kind
could
of
meet him.
full body setups going on.
The keeper was a quiet man
what
who
was
didn't
that?
want to be disturbed.
I
So
can't remember it off the top of my head.
And when he
Yeah,
declined
I'm
again,
I'm more of a
I decided
Federation
to wait
guy,
until the dead of
but
night,
because of Zeonic
walk
Front,
up
I
the
really did
lighthouse
enjoy some of
stairs by
the
myself.
suits like the DOMs.
think I'd be
So they
much
were
of a
hovering
bother.
around super fast with
All I
fucking
wanted to
bazookas.
do was shake the man's hand who saved my life. When I climbed those steps, what I found almost stopped my heart.
Why? What did you find?
It was the girl. Frail, beaten, dying. She was forced to live in that infernal tower for God knows how long. She'd never gone sailing. She'd never even left the shore.
My
But why didn't they hit
All
him?
the time we were out at sea, Every time she flashed the light from the tower, she wasn't guiding us home. She was crying for help.
Oh.
And we failed her.
I think I did hit him.
You saved her.
No.
Which one's SD? Was that the little ones that were the size of like human children?
She died before I could get her to the hospital.
Making a living out here.
After that, they shut down the lighthouse. It was too painful a memory.
Or was that the fight
Maybe
tournament
we all
one?
just wanted to forget.
Better G was the
But I
fighter one.
don't
Oh,
understand.
okay.
If it's abandoned,
Yeah, SD Gundam. I don't know. I watched like the first season when I was a kid, and I was like, this isn't bad.
You see,
But like realistically, it's not that good as far as Gundam goes.
it doesn't matter if we want to forget. She won't let us.
I have been rewatching Gundam lately though, the season with Amuro and then Camille. Like, so it's Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta is after Mobile Suit Gundam, and oh my god, in both they whine so fucking much. Oh god. Oh, why are you not even okay? Wait. Fuck it.
Yes, you'll read the headlines in all the papers. Lana Word,
Oh.
Starlet, shot dead in her apartment.
Okay.
What the headlines won't tell
So far, I got to the first episode. This is easy today. Nothing really going on yet. They're just recapping.
Joe Thompson. A promising,
But yeah, like the characters. Oh, and fucking Z Gundam had the most bullshit security I've ever seen in a warship ever. Where it's like you have these people in a ship full of these mobile suits, and you know what they do?
You're a writer, Joe. What have you published?
They fucking just let people steal their mobile suits constantly.
People have said I'm promising, brilliant, and handsome.
Yeah, I did die.
What people?
Like, some kid comes on, Kotz, who is one of the kids of the original mobile suit guys that did the gun tank. That dude's kid gets onto the ship, day one, there's a fight. He's just like, I'm gonna help, and just sneaks onto one of the mobile suits without even sneaking. Is like, haha, I pressed the on button. Alright, let's go. Nearly gets, he took the Gundam of all the mobile suits inside the ship, and nearly got it killed. Like, destroyed. What the fuck is going on in your brain, child? Like, oh man, watching the new like the old seasons really bugs the shit out of me. It's so unrealistically stupid, like, just because the character is just so dumb. Access rights via his parents. No, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he straight up steals a Gundam, nearly gets it destroyed. Camille had to jump in a totally different mobile suit, like a Rick Diaz, so, you know, basic bitch suit. And it's just so dumb. Watching that, I was just like, fuck these kids, man. And then Fa did it like 3 episodes later. It's just like, what's going on? Who just lets people steal mobile suits like this? Where's your security? Why aren't the mechanics just straight shooting kids that are trying to steal mobile suits to help fight? I don't even know what I'm doing.
Coming to a theater near you, Big Patty and the Drag Strip Dolly. He's the man behind the wheel with grease in his hair and lead in his foot. She's
try going this way
his
then.
rival with a chassis that'll make your motor roar. Ba-ba-vroom.
Well, Amuro made sense because his dad was working on it. He already read the manual. You know what I mean? Like, he had actual stuff. And then on top of it, the colony was getting destroyed anyways. There's a giant gaping hole in it. So, you know, like, the whole colony ended up wiped out soon after. And he jumped in and just got it rolling and kind of got some kills. So that makes more sense. There's no one else to, you know, do anything with it. But in Z, it just made no fucking sense. It's like, you guys are in the middle of a war, and you're just letting these kids steal your shit. Like, be an adult. I'm not saying kill the kid, but, like, shoot him in the leg or something. Like, you're just gonna let him sit inside the fucking best mobile suit you have on the ship and pilot it. Yeah, and he almost slammed it into a fucking bridge, which would have destroyed it. What did make me laugh in Camille's season was so many Rick Diaz getting their legs blown off but still getting to live instead of like the arms or chest or head.
Head, pedal to the metal, but then I made the mistake of looking up, and that's when our eyes met. She was the bee's knees.
Seems like as soon as we fix one thing in this place, another breaks. Got that vaccine yet?
Yep.
What's this? Nuka Cola. Nice looking label, I guess. What gives?
3 before smash over your head. Hey, medicine doesn't need to taste bad, right? Drink up.
Well, I guess I should be impressed if you went to all the trouble of making it easy to take. Still don't.
No,
know
they were
what
still
to
in the
think of
chest.
you, Vault Dweller.
There was only one that was in the head.
Well,
actually, no.
Saving
No,
us
they
from
weren't.
your plague is a good start. You watch out for you and yours.
Yeah,
out
no,
there.
all of them were in the chest. There was only like one that maybe was in the head, but it was more like upper chest. But yeah, they were always in the chest. Like, it's the safest spot. And then, the Psycho Gundam was the one that almost had them in the head. Or, like, it broke her brain that the head of it exploded because then she felt it because it's attached to her brain in that way. So then 4 ended up like losing her shit and just kind of died on the spot afterwards after telling Camille, you know, hey, my bad. No, I swear it wasn't in the head. I swear it was in the chest of the Rick Diaz. I could be wrong. I don't want to look it up. Showing me at all. Oh yeah, I guess it is in the head. Why the fuck would you put it in the head? Oh, that's so stupid. I guess because pilots kept getting sniped out whenever they aim center mass and shoot the chest. But if your whole suit dies anyways when you get shot in the chest, what's the point of not putting your pilot there? Because, like, a lot of times in the old suits, it was basically where the power plant was. So when you bash that, it would straight destroy it. Yeah, they're like laying down that weird way there. Looks stupid. Whoever designed the Rick Diaz was a dumbass. All I'm saying. Yeah, the ejection pod, but half the time they didn't use it. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 ejections in what, 100+ episodes. So it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, I'm glad you got it, but no one's using it. It's fucking dumb. Alright, so for the Leoth one, I'm gonna cheat. Because I'm not walking all the way up there. Yeah, the ejection pod makes sense then.
Drag strip dolly. I knew right then I couldn't let anything happen to her, so I swerved out of the way.
Really, Dick? You know what they're saying out there, right? They're saying you're chicken.
I'm not a chicken, damn it. I'm in love.
It's a story of thrills, chills, and head-on collisions. Coming this summer, it's Dick Patty and the Drag Strip Dolly.
Yeah, I see that now. And I didn't even see the Titans eject. Like, most of the time they just died. Especially if they were a named character. They just fucking died. Most of the time they would just get, like, an injury to, like, the mobile suit itself. Like, an arm would get blown off, and then they'd just decide to run away. So they were pretty smart about it.
Next decade is never-ending rain.
Yeah.
Struck down,
Res.
she finds herself lying in the street.
What are you?
Trying desperately to write down the
I thought rad scorpions weren't a thing yet.
double-decker bus that ran her over. A bus called Fame.
Would you like this? It's almost here.
Tell me, Mr. President, when you look at this picture, what do you see?
I don't know, Miss Booker. I just walked in.
You see nothing.
Fun.
Because it's empty. Films today are artless drivel designed for simpletons. Perfect for today's youth.
Yeah, I remember the 360 monitors, but Zaku's also had that.
Rock and roll. Whatever happened
He was only the Gundam that was like 3 or 4, I think.
in the 1930s?
Well, it wasn't good times for most people, Miss Booker. There is a reason they call it the Depression.
And what do you think I am now? Happy? No. I'm more depressed than I've ever been.
Well, I don't think that's what they mean by depression.
That's all I wanted.
That's just another thing that's wrong with today's youth.
Oh, hi.
Speaking in jive. They don't have the class of a Boston Grand or joint. Why isn't he in this picture?
Mr. Stewart's dead.
Kids rotting corpses, twice the man needs celebrities. You should dig him up. Then they'll see. They'll all see.
Fucking, why does it keep changing goddamn menus whenever I'm trying to do this? Fuck, it's so frustrating to try to, like, tap your Simpacks real quick. Gah! Literally, you just press tab, press E. Like, and I can't even set that up properly because it wants to change. Yeah, like, why did it change that? I wasn't even pressing that. I literally let go of everything, tap, tab, hit E.
A story
Yeah,
you won't
already
soon
full health.
forget.
Neat.
About a time you've long since forgotten.
Fucking dumb. It's fine. I don't want to deal with them. No, towards the middle of Amuro season is when the Zaku's got the full 360s. And then Rick Diaz were full 360s, along with whatever the Titans had. The Titans just had a blind spot at the bottom, which they fixed like the next episode after they discovered it. It was really funny. It's like, yay, new way to attack from the bottom, and then like, you didn't fix that. I have a blind spot at the bottom. So it's like one episode. Fucking dumb. What is this place?
Tell me, you stupid lizard. Which
Wait, is this?
you is man? Top or bottom? What difference
Yours
does
was
that
big.
make to you?
What does that mean?
Because when Grognak rips off that pathetic worm between your legs, he wants to make sure it never grows back.
Meg better hope coming here pays off.
Oh, so this is Meg's place. Never mind.
About your tail. Will the Mansorian unleash the deadly Virgin Eater upon the land? Or
Alright, is it up now?
escape his bonds and save the fair village maiden? Find out in this special Hubris Comics presentation of Grognak the Barbarian.
Appalachia belongs to us. There ain't nobody
They
who can
hunted
prove.
him
Hope you're here with the
down.
delivery,
They
7-6.
stormed his village,
Patience
and
ain't
they
exactly my
ruined
strong
his
suit.
picnic. But these were no
This
ordinary ants.
is the
They
inoculation
were
you
vicious
promised?
beasts
Bottles
sent
of
by the queen
Nuka?
of six-legged terrors,
You best start
the
talking,
ant
7-6.
agonizer. Hubris
I'm
Comics
smarter than
presents
you. Just take it.
Ant of Agony.
Description vector is a carbonated beverage.
Clearly.
penetrated
And you
the
can
court
spare me the
of the
details.
antagonizer.
Wouldn't want you to hurt that
Queen
brain
of
of
all
yours
ants.
trying to use all the
If there
fancy
is one
words.
thing
I'll
Grognak
make sure
knows,
it gets
it is
distributed.
penetration.
Looks like you're off
But
the hook,
there is
7-6.
another thing he knows.
See you around.
You are not an ant.
Okay,
You
bye.
are an antique. And now
Nope, still not up.
you are
Okay.
history.
Lie! If you shall not bow before your ant queen, then bleed before the
Yeah, it feels fun
antagonizer.
watching it again after
Grognak
all these
does not
years.
bleed. He crashes. Will our hero put an end to the antics of evil? Or will the ant agonizer
Like, 'cause I
colonize
watched all when I was a
humanity
kid,
from now until the
and I
end
never
of
watched
time?
the
Find out in
Zeta
this
Gundam
motion
stuff
picture extravaganza.
until
Grognak
recently.
and the ant of agony.
But once I'm through that, I think I'm gonna end up going and watching the other stuff, like
In the deepest jungles, where only the most terrifying
probably
creatures
I might do
dare
Wing
live,
Gundam again.
there was one
That's
man who
that's
called
classic.
himself king. Grognak the
I've never seen
Barbarian.
Unicorn, so I'll probably give that a go.
Fly
Stuff like
through the
that.
trees, wrestle
Iron Blood
in
Orphan, same sort of deal. It was one of those where it just sounded dumb, so I didn't watch it.
tropical adventure.
Weird how much child fighting they keep putting into
You
these.
must help my baby. The shaman say he's hungry for milk, but I fed him already and he won't stop crying.
Do not worry.
Crying.
Grognak is skilled at quieting
91.
children.
Then Char counterattack. Yeah, I already watched all that. That was kind of on the way.
You killed my baby.
Foolish woman.
And there was that movie recently-ish that showed Char going through his mobile suit training originally with all the other big names. That was really cool. Can't remember what the heck it was called though. It was like Rising of Char or something like that, or oh, Unicorn's after it. Game is working. Okay, cool. Well, then I'll cut this one off right now. Origin? Is that what it was? Okay. Yeah, it was good. Like, I really did enjoy it. Because it made Char seem more like a human being in a good way instead of him just being a D-bag. Which also, you know, in Zeta, he's kind of less of a D-bag. Also, they nerfed the crap out of him in Zeta. He's not a good enough pilot or new type like he was in the OG. And it upsets me a little bit where I'm like, look, I never cheered on Char in any way. But the fact that Char is now kind of sad, like, he's like 1/5 of Camille's skill in a way. And it's just like, bro, you have like a war under your belt. And now you're in a second war. You're a countless battle veteran. Like, what the hell, man? Why are you so pathetic? Let me quickly cut this.